Well, good morning. I want to welcome you all to our 2026 BBS Power Series, and this is the April version. We're going to have about 30 minutes or maybe even a little less time than that today to talk about PPC balance, how to prevent burnout in you and your team. Shout out to the Portsmouth, Ohio Chamber of Commerce for their sponsorship and their promotion of this, and we've got Lisa with us today helping with keeping people in the room and inviting them and bringing them in. So I'm looking forward to this today. It seems that I still do a lot of coaching these days, that the people that I'm talking to talk about this issue of burnout, that many people are weary and tired and just kind of dropping out of things at times. So we want to kind of examine that from an objective perspective and see what we can do for ourselves, and then if we have responsibility for other people and supervisory responsibilities, management responsibility, what can we do to help prevent this burnout from people? And this concept from Stephen Covey called PPC balance, I think, is a key. So we'll take a look at that here in a second. Of course, I want to start off here with the rules of the game. And I'm going to put them all four up there as we talk about them. We begin our sessions with these. You know, burnout does not have to occur. I really believe that. But for that to be a fact for you and your team is you have to take some ownership here, some responsibility and some accountability to change some things. If you keep doing what is done by a lot of people or what's always done, then you'll get the results that are always occurring. And what's occurring right now in a lot of situations is people are burning out. So for that to be different, I know this is common sense, but it's not always common practice. There has to be a change of activity. There has to be a change of mindset. And if you will be an owner today, first of all, in caring for yourself, but also in caring for your team, if you'll be an owner in your mindset today, then you'll really benefit from this presentation today. What other rule do you need to follow today to really get the most out of this? Participation. Turn off your phone. If you can be isolated from the activity somewhat around you, that would be great, so that you can be fully present, fully engaged, fully thinking. All we do here in these 30-minute sessions is help people change what they're thinking, their mindset. We're really not doing anything different. You're not going to be any different at the end of this than you are right now, except you may be thinking differently or asking better questions. That happens when you're fully present and participating 100%. That happens more often. This is probably the most difficult one of the rules I found through the years, is dropping the I know. It's getting rid of the preconceived ideas and notions, and here's some of the thoughts that go with that. Oh, I've heard this before. Oh, this is nothing new. Well, I hope you have heard some of this before. I don't think I'm going to say anything profoundly different than what you already kind of know, but if you'll set aside what you think you know and become curious and interested, kind of like a little child, get rid of that ego and that belief that I already have this, you will learn more. A full glass, you just can't put any more in it. But when you empty that glass and say, I don't really know much of anything, then you open your mind to new thought and to some new ways of looking at things and some validation of some things that are already inside of you that you understand. If you do those three things, own it, step up to the plate, participate and engage 100%, toss away the I know and the presumption, then we're going to have some fun. And fun is a choice as well. I think this issue can be a fun issue. And I think the way we'll start that fun is by a story. Now, this, like I mentioned, this PPC balance concept comes from that classic 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. So if you've read that book and you've done some study in that book, you'll probably remember most of this. But here is the story that we want to tell. It's about the goose with the golden eggs. And here's how the fable goes. There was a farmer that had this goose. And he started to notice every morning as he went out that every morning underneath this goose there was a golden egg. And he was quite delighted at his prosperity and his discovery. But like many people, his greed started to take over his thinking. He said, it's wonderful to have this goose with golden eggs, but what if I could get all those eggs and I didn't have to wait every single day for that goose to lay that one egg? And he got obsessed with the thought, and he took a knife and he took that goose and opened up that goose, and behold, there were no eggs on the inside. So what the farmer had done is he had killed the goose that laid the golden eggs, trying to maximize out of his selfishness. He wanted more. What is the story as it relates to PPC balance? Well, we need to answer that question, we really need to look at the couple of definitions. The P stands for production, and the PC stands for production capacity. So the goose was the producer. The goose produced the golden eggs, and that goose had a capacity of producing that one egg per day. The farmer wasn't aware that he wanted to increase the capacity. He wanted more eggs quicker. And so in the pursuit of increasing that production capacity, he killed the producer. You get the idea that if we want to maximize the production and the efficiency of our lives, of our teams, of the people we work with, of our customers, of our equipment, we need to have some time to increase the capacity, which may take a little bit away from the immediate production. So let me move on to talk about something that will probably, if we give some examples of this, this is common sense. You'll start to make sense of this, because we need to understand the concept, and then we'll talk about the applications. The first one is your telephone, your cell phone. I assume all of you probably own a mobile phone and use it. And when I'm coaching, I will ask this question, and it's kind of a stupid question, silly question, because it's so obvious, but I ask people, would you try to use your phone and never charge it? And they say, oh, of course not. That's ridiculous, Dave. You got to charge a phone. If the battery runs low or runs out, it's of no use. So why would you see the necessity of charging your phone, but see no necessity of charging your own batteries or charging the batteries of your team? I think that you got the production of the phone, which is to use it for calls and texting and everything else we use phones for. But for that capacity to be there, you have to charge the battery. That's a pretty obvious example. Here's another one, your car. Now, sometimes people get their license, teenagers, and they've never really been around a car. They really never taken care of a car, and they do know enough probably to put gasoline in the car, but they don't know always about the oil and the maintenance of the car, and sometimes some tires need changed and some brakes need updated. And you can run that car for a while, production, but if you don't take time to maintain that car, production capacity, you'll find that car will die on you, that it will eventually become, have a lot of problems and become useless. So any kind of equipment requires a level of maintenance for it to continue to run and produce. In other words, you have to be aware that there's a balance between the time that automobile or that phone is producing and then the time that you're feeding its capacity or you're maintaining its capacity. Maintenance is a good word to think of that PC. We have to be balanced between using something and maintaining it. And that's true of people, and that's true of teams, as well as equipment. So what's another example? Well, your employees and your team. I've seen some organizations through the years of the coaching that I've done that just hire a bunch of people and they wear them out and they retire or they get sick of the job and then they just replace them. And so they just become a treadmill and they never get the synergy of a team staying around, of people learning how to work together, that longevity and that balance and that stability of a long-term team. And so you really never get the production capacity out of that team because you don't invest in that. You just wear people out until they can't take it anymore. Folks, you have limitations. You have limitations. You have to sleep. Some people don't think they need to sleep. You have to take a break. If you're going to perform well and you're going to do a great job and you're going to really serve well and do your job good, you need some time to recharge and to increase your capacity. And when you don't take the time to do that for you, or if you're a manager or you're a business owner and you have a team of people that work for you, you need to look at ways to work on their PC as well as their P. Just getting the production up 24/7 with no break and no feeding into that person to help them be better and increase their capacity is a mistake. It is not going to you're going to kill the goose trying to get too many golden eggs too fast. What else do we need to look at here? How about your customers? Your business or your internal customers in the organization you work in, our customers for my business, my clients, they're the ones that put money in my bank account and take care of me and support me. If I never feed back into them, how do you feed a customer? Appreciation, saying thank you, doing the extra things they don't expect. That's increasing that customer's loyalty. That's increasing our relationship. But that takes PC time. That's increasing the capacity of the relationship. If people will look at their customers not just transactionally, what are they buying today? How are they helping our business today? But if they started to think, how can I get this customer to be a long-term loyal customer? That's thinking of capacity, increasing the capacity. And the activities that you do and the things that you work on and focus on to increase PC are different than to increase P. Production, we need to be accountable. We need to be focused. We need to keep our nose to the grindstone of sort of speech. In other words, we need to do the work that needs to be done for sure. But we also need to take care of the person doing the work so that they can continue to do the work. we certainly need to take care of the customers and get them to buy more when they want to and sell to them. But we also need to take care of those customers. We need to build into their capacity to buy from us and to be with us long term. Do you see the PC balance, how important it is, and how it will prevent burnout? It's a long-term thought process. It's not, I want to get as much as I can, as quick as I can. It's, I want to get long-term consistent results and production. So I need to take time to do different things to build that capacity. And now this is where I really want to focus a major part of our presentation this morning in our thought process. I want you to think about yourself now. Now, you're not here with me in the room. We're not doing the kind of webinar or meeting where we're all discussing, so you're not on the spot. You're just here, hopefully fully engaged and listening this morning and thinking about these matters. So I want you to think about 4 aspects of your life right now. Physical well-being, emotional well-being, social well-being, and spiritual well-being. It's 4 aspects of everybody's life. The spiritual side is more of the inside person. The others kind of have an outside, inside concept, and the physical one is probably the most outside or outer person. And we'll just start there. Read a great book several years ago called Eat, Sleep, Move. A very simple book. The fact is, your human body, to function well, to have great capacity, what you need to do to maintain that PPC balance is you need to sleep. Technically, based on all the publications, if you're sleeping less than 7.5 or 8 hours a night, you're sleep deprived. People who are sleep deprived do not perform at capacity. They do not perform as well as they could physically. If you need to get to the bottom of it, if you're not getting a full night's sleep, you need to find out why. Eat, sleep, move. That's the sleep part. What about the eat part? I don't need to rag on you. You've heard it all. But are you eating a balanced diet? Are you loading up on the sugar? How about the fast food and the processed food? Fact is, your body just doesn't function well on all that junk. It needs good, solid, nutritious food. Now, I'm not going to go off on a health ramp here and give you all the different ideas about that. There's plenty on the YouTube and in social media about that. But I will say this, it's common sense. If you're eating real food that's not loaded up with additives, that's real food, and you're not loading yourself up with sugar, but you're eating a balanced diet with plenty of protein and plenty of healthy carbs and healthy fats, you're going to feel better. You're going to operate better. It takes attention. It takes time. It takes some thought process and some effort. That's called PC. You're increasing your PC when you work on changing that. And it's a busy world, and it's difficult to take time, and it does take an effort. But I encourage you to think about that if you're tired, if you're not functioning well, or you just want to increase your capacity. And then move. They say the new smoking is inactivity, just sitting. When the body was designed, God designed this body to move. And when you don't move it, it does not do well. You certainly need to get your rest and your sleep, but you also need to keep moving in physical ways. Some kind of regular physical activity every day will do amazing things for your body. So now we've looked at one aspect of you as a person, your physicality. Eat, sleep, move. What I want you to walk away with from this today are maybe 2 or three, or maybe just one thing that you're going to change. Maybe you're going to start drinking 8 ounces of water every morning. That would be a great thing to do to help yourself physically. That's all you changed out of this today. It would have been worth coming today. Let's talk about your emotional well-being. What I'm finding more and more is we are in such a stress-filled, anxious, changing world. I don't think that's new, but there are some modern aspects to it that have probably increased. I think emotions are a reflection of our thinking and what we pay attention to. And social media would be one example where people who just scroll and look through their social media all day long, and some younger people and even some older people that seem to get hung up on their social media presence and how important it is. You're just living under this spotlight of approval from other people, and that becomes such an idol. I call it an idol, a false god. It just becomes so imperative for people to want to be liked and approved in the social media world, in the social world that they live in, that it becomes an emotional drain and strain. And I would say PPC balance in that case is get a life apart from the phone, get a life apart from the devices. Emotional health, take a walk out in the woods, leave your phone in the car if you can stand it. Emotionally, I think we need time to ourselves, and I think we need time with those we really care about and love. And I think it needs to be positive time, not stress time, not problem-centered time, fun time, a time to really appreciate and fill our minds and our hearts with gratitude. Gratitude is such an emotional support. When I live in a thought process of how wonderfully blessed I am, and when you get caught up in media and all the buzz around you, that goes away, and you start to get emotionally down and depressed and drained. Going back to that very first rules of the game, take ownership of your emotions. If your emotions start to get out of whack and start to beat you up, you need to get behind what am I thinking and what am I doing that's causing these kinds of feelings. That's a warning sign in my body when I start to feel emotionally bad that something needs to change. And so that takes some PC time, some production capacity time. I need to slow down and let the dust settle and let all the that little snow globe, let all that snow in that snow globe settle so I can get some clarity and make some adjustments to my schedule and to what I'm putting into feeding my mind that's causing this emotional uproar and upset. That's a way to maintain that PPC balance. And then socially, where does most people's stress come from? It comes from relationships. They're just not maintaining relationships, especially with those key people, their spouse, their children, their family, their friends, their people that they go to church with. We need to feed the emotional bank account. Covey talks about that in his 7 Habits as well, that you need to make deposits in other people's lives. You need to give them some attention. Pick up the phone and not just text them, but call them. Or can you imagine actually setting aside a time to go to lunch and sit with somebody and have a conversation? Social interaction. To be socially healthy, we need to spend quality time with the people that we care about. That's maintaining that PPC balance. If I'm a giver socially, if I'm giving to people all the time, but I'm never having that joyful friendship PPC balance, then I get burned out. And then I'm going to bring this kind of to a close in the spiritual aspect, because it's what I have a passion with. Being on good terms and great terms with your Heavenly Father and the God in heaven that created you. I think is absolutely necessary to prevent burnout. At least for me, it's my prayer and my Bible study and scripture reading and staying close to my God that keeps me healthy. It keeps me vibrant. It keeps me joyful. It keeps me up. It keeps me available to produce. Because when you're in that mindset, you want to give, but you got to give from a source. And so that kind of points to personal and professional development. How much time are you spending working on your production capacity as a person? Or if you have team responsibilities, are you building in time for training, for coaching, for personal and professional development? And I look at it this way. There's another story here, and we'll kind of bring it to a close here. I just want you to, it's more of an analogy. I want you to picture a cup of coffee. If you're a coffee drinker, you'll really like this. If you're not, put hot tea in the cup or something you would enjoy, a warm drink. But coffee works really well for this analogy. A full cup of hot coffee. And we're going to serve the masses. Great coffee. Now, if that coffee cup overflows, it goes into the saucer. And if I've got so much coffee, such an abundance of coffee, that it goes into the saucer, everybody drinks from the saucer, they're going to be getting the freshest coffee because it's almost to a continual flow. What's the opposite of that? That the coffee goes down, 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 and it gets down to an empty cup. And what have you got in the bottom of a cup that's been used and abused? You've got dregs. You've got that old, dark, massive, junk, clunky stuff in the bottom of the cup. Here's my question for you. Are people drinking from your saucer? In other words, are they getting the freshest overflow of the energy of your life? Or are you serving up dregs quite often? You're just running on empty, running on that low level where you're getting dreggy and drudgy at the bottom. Folks, here's the lesson again. You got to fill the cup if you want to serve a lot of people. And you got to take the time for that PC, that production capacity. How is your cup filled? How are you filling your cup? How does your team get their cup filled? If I want a team that serves well and produces well, I need to be concerned also for the production capacity. And if you're getting dregs and you're getting bad performance and low performance and burnout, slow everything down. I would say stop everything. Work on some professional and personal development to ask some good coaching questions to get to why we're burning out and we're not charging the battery. We're not taking care of the oil changes. We're not doing what it takes to be at maximum production. We're working on the production capacity as well as the production. Now, that's a lot of thought. It's a lot to take in, but it's very simple. I've just repeated it in a lot of different ways so that you can get your mind opened to how to prevent burnout, how to keep that from happening in your life and in the life of your team. My offers today are pretty simple. If you'd like to talk more about that with me, I spend a lot of time on this with teams and with individuals. I'm offering 30 minutes to talk just to you about your issues. Today's slide, I've got two or three articles that I've written that really cover this as well. If you'd like to have those, you could email and request it. And finally, we have some website resources, 300 plus articles on many personal development issues, 35 plus hours of meetings like this that you can watch free of charge on YouTube. And I send out a new article every Monday morning that if you go to the website, you can sign up to be on the newsletter and you will get that as well. So to access these offers, My email is davebeam@mentordavebeam.com. And you can visit the website at www.mentordavebeam.com. And I would love for all of you to really engage with what I'm offering. That's what brings me joy. That's what makes my day. And I would think it would make yours as well. So with that said, that brings us to a close today. I hope this has been a help for you. And we will see you next time. Thank you very much.